evening. It's Monday, 22nd of May, 2023, and we are back again on Ubuntu Lifestyle. My name is Lawrence Mulungu, joining you and hosting you for this wonderful program that we have set before us. And hopefully, you are going to learn one or two things that we're going to discuss here. And of course, I'm not alone. I'm joined by a guest, Sir Prince Mukupa. Good evening, and thank you so much for coming to Ubuntu Lifestyle.
Good evening. Thank you, sir. And thank you for having me on this platform.
Thank you. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we started a discussion which we dubbed Living Within Your Means. And we were with Mr. Prince as well last time. And today is a continuation of that program because if you remember, we discontinued the program due to technicalities that could not allow us to proceed. But this time around, we are back again and looking to go ahead and discuss this program just as it is supposed to be. Now, Mr. Prince,
Sure.
we spoke about living within your means. Just as a recap, what did we discuss as living within your means is?
Okay. No, thank you so much for that question. Yeah, so living within your means can be defined with a small example where it can relate to finances. Let's say in Zambian economy today, you are getting a 2,000 kwacha. Let's just call it, that's what you get per month, a 2,000 kwacha. So living within your means is not spending more than a 2,000 kwacha. The moment you go beyond the 2,000 kwacha, that is living outside your means. So that is what is called living within your means. It's spending what you're able to have at that given time. So if in your week you're able to receive a 500 kwacha, don't exceed the 500 kwacha. Stay within the 500 kwacha. The moment you want to go overboard, that is living outside your means.
Now, if you recall, we had started talking about, of course, savings, and we are talking about the culture of savings and the possibilities of saving actually in the Zambian economy. A lot of people claim to say the moment they try to do some savings, things don't seem to work out just as that. We can talk of a situation where one person gets let's say a 5,000 kwacha, and a five out of the 5,000 kwacha, they are not able to save because they have got a lot of responsibilities that need to be taken care of out of that 5,000 kwacha. Now, I want you to explain or just share with us how saving is possible in this kind of an economy where everybody is trying so hard to live a life that is defining for someone who is working.
Well, thank you for that good question. You know, saving is a very important thing that every one of us we should learn to actually walk into. You know, for you to get a 5,000 at that particular moment, it's very important that no matter how much you get to admire other people, what they are doing, how they are living their lives, you don't need to live outside that 5,000 kwacha. So what do? There are many houses, there are many compounds which have got different prices when it comes to rentals, when it comes to food. You can't be living a life of one who is staying, let's say, in Kablonga, wanting to spend maybe per meal. They spend the 500 kwacha maybe in a day. You also want to spend the 500 kwacha in a day. Yet you get the 5,000 at the end of the month. So go for a house that maybe is equivalent to 2,000 per month within your budget. Maybe you get 1,500, spend it for food at home. So meaning within issues of transport, today's generation, people go to church. So also work around your offering. Before you know it, your 5,000 is slowly coming to an end. If you can remain with the 500, get that 500, put it in the bank. That is called saving because you may not know what tomorrow holds. In as much as you are admiring other people, how they are living their lives, there are other people spend the 5,000 in a day. And that's how much they can spend for them in a day, meaning they know how much comes in at the end of the day or at the end of the month. So you don't need to spend beyond. Keep a 500, it may look small, or keep a 200, it appears very little, but that's something, because whenever you have issues, challenges get to arise from nowhere. No one expects death, no one expects sickness, but these are things we get to live with in our society. So if you don't even keep a 100 kwacha in your account every month, a 500 kwacha in the bank, trust me, in our economy, in our Zambian culture today, the day you go Kumarino without any single kwacha, you are a guy they know you get 5,000, but you have not gone, not even a bag of milling, sir. That's disgrace. That's disgrace, sir. So no matter how little you get at the end of the day, learn to save something.
Interestingly, so in other ways, there are two schools of thoughts.
Yes, sir.
There is the first school of thought that talks of saving before you start to even spend. There is another school of thought that talks of first spending, then you save what remains. Which one is the best?
You know, sir, a good leader or a good person that wants to develop their lives and wants to upgrade their lives, you cannot spend, and then that's when you want to start thinking of saving. So the best way is plan your life. Before you even get that money, start planning for it. How am I going to spend this? How am I going to spend this 500 kwacha that is coming in at this particular moment? What are the pressing needs? What are the pressing wants? So you get to look within your circles what needs to be done. So you don't go to the market. So I, for one, I will not stand up and go to the market and just start buying anything that comes out, unless if that money was right in my pocket, which I get to move with and say, this money is my personal money, which I just need to be using for personal expenses. That one is allowed where I can go per market and freeze it. Why? Because it's normal, you can buy a bottle of water, but every money that you know that is going into your household, that is actually going into your livelihood, that you need to use at the end of the month, trust me, it's very important to plan for it even before you actually get that money. Many people get to plan so well, but at the end of the day, they get to misbehave.
Exactly.
It's because they're not disciplined. It's very important to be disciplined with your own money. No, it baffles me so much. We are so principled with other people's things. Let's say, Kumanshito. When your boss gives you a certain amount of money, trust me, everyone sticks to the plan. There are few that gets to misbehave. Maybe that's why they've been fired. But a lot of people, they get to stick to the principle. And my boss gave me this money that I need to travel to this place and have this business accomplished, and they stick to it. That when it comes to their money, you find that is where people are indisciplined. They do not want to discipline their own money. They don't want to budget for their own money. But when it comes to company money, they are disciplined. So it's very important that we become disciplined for our own money. That will improve our lives.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us once again. You are watching us live on Ubuntu channel, where we are looking at money matters. Anyway, I will put it like that. It's money matters that we're talking about, how to manage your finances, and overall, the topic we are looking at is living within your means. You can always leave a comment and just let us know what you think right on the comment section on whatever platform you're watching us from, and we'll be very much excited to read your comment and get to know what actually is on your mind. Remember, I'm joined by Mr. Prince Mukupa, who is actually helping us to understand some of these things and probably give us a perspective which we can always look at, which is something that we as Ubuntu channel take very much pleasure in highlighting. Now, let's talk about financial discipline once again. So, if you see the ways some people spend, we can be a lot of us can be actually culprits in this, where you see something or someone just comes and says, no, I'm selling this, and please, will you buy? Sometimes you even be disciplined enough and say, well, I do not have the money to buy that right now. But some of the sellers will be very tactical and will tell you to say, well, you can get and you pay me next month. And this is the trap that most of us fall into. How do we go about such kinds of things?
Sweet. Yeah. So that seller is actually on the goal of making profits, is on the goal of making some monies to help themselves live that life also. So they are also in the industry. Their business or their life is to convince you and I to ensure that we get to buy their product. That is their business. Even myself, I do have small businesses. I also get to convince somebody. Why? Because I want money at the end of the day. But one thing that we should learn to do is, no matter how somebody gets to press us to the corner, if that is not on our budget, if that's not on our written down plan, we should never go outside that. Trust me, Mr. Lawrence, you're an engineer by profession. You are building a house, and over the sudden, here comes this client of yours whom you are building this house, and this is going to be maybe say a 3-story building. Trust me, you and I know that the foundation has to be strong. So you are going to set up the foundation based for a 3-story building. But because these clients seem to have gotten a deal which they have got more money now, and they tell you, Mr. Lawrence, I know the foundation has already been set and you have already done everything that requires a 3-story building. So I have too much money. Let's make it a 10-story building. It's up to you to compromise, but you being a good planner, being a person that sticks to your plan, the way you have designed it, you definitely say, sir, if we make it a 10-story building, it will definitely crash down. So let us stick to the plan. So that is helping you, the engineer, not to compromise with your qualification, because the next time, but about a token license.
Exactly.
So to protect yourself and also to protect the lives of those people that will be staying in that building, you will not compromise. Same applies to that person who is trying to force you to buy what they are selling. Yes, there are pressing issues that can come about. You don't need to bend for them. And most of the times, where you can bend to situations like that, for me, it's something that you have already been planning. You have started working around it. And from over the sudden, this is when it shows up. It maybe took you 5 months or 6 months ago. You have been planning for it. You have been thinking, how do I go about this? How do I go about this situation that I want to purchase, or this product I want to get? So on that one, if somebody approaches you, maybe you have been saving, but the money that you have is not equivalent to the product that man is selling or the lady is selling. You can either negotiate and say, the money which I have, because I've been planning to buy this, but I was saving. So in the situation, would you please accept this down payment? And then I start making a plan for it. But do not go in an agreement of saying, I've always wanted this car. So therefore, in as much as I do not have, I'm going to get it. It will lead you to go and get loans now. It lead you to go and get credit, which are not in your plan. Once you get a loan that is outside your plan, it has disturbed everything about you. You go into credit that is outside your plan, it has disturbed your program. So it's very important, no matter how convincing somebody may be, how convincing it can be to a client, don't run away. Do your plan. Sure.
Interesting, Sam. I'm very much happy that you have mentioned the issue of loans, and this is one of the subject that is killing a lot of workers out there.
Yes.
Remember, I think loan companies have specifically, not only loan companies actually, including banks.
Yeah.
Some of the banks that we use, they have targeted a lot of people who are in formal employment and are giving a lot of loans without much of financial literacy for the people taking out these loans. Now, the worry is the effect of that actually can be seen in many people who are struggling and drowning actually in loans. Now, what are some of the best reasons for someone to get a loan? Let's start from there.
For me, how I get to judge a loan, everybody will have their own opinion. But when you get it on my side, when you get a loan and invest it into, let's say, an asset or maybe a liability. Let's look an example of you want to get a loan and maybe buy a car, which a lot of people, that is what they are doing.
Mhm.
On my side, it's not a good venture first to start with, because that car that you're actually getting, it's not going to be an asset, meaning to be chewing from you, to be consuming from your monies. So let's say you're a guy that was getting 10,000 at your place of work, and because you have gotten a loan, they begin to do those deductions. I don't know, I'm not an accountant, but there'll be a specific amount, meaning to reduce. You'll not be getting a 10,000 at the end of the month, because you need to be paying back that loan that you have gotten. It has also attracted interest, so meaning it's more monies that you'll be paying back than what you actually expected to what's this to use. So for me, I would say get a loan if maybe you want to venture into a well set business. A well set business. Don't get a loan if you know that you have not planned for any business. Let's say you just heard, Uku, Chalila, people are buying maize, and this is how it's going, and this is how it's happening. It's just stories. You have not been involved in the maize business. You don't know how the maize industry runs. You don't know if there's need to get paperwork and the like. You just enter into it, and let's say you got 100,000 and you pumped into that maize, and somebody told you once you're pumping 100,000 you get a 200. Before you know it, they pounce on you. I don't know which authorities in the government pounces on you. You lose out that 100,000, meaning your loan has actually gone to nothing because you have lost out everything. But let's say you were doing maybe a poultry business. You were running this 100 birds per production. You have mastered the business so well that you're now thinking, I need to expand this business, maybe taking it to a 500 or 1,000 birds per production. That is something that I can advise one to get a loan for. Why? Because you have mastered the art of the business. So the moment you pump into the money, you know even the challenges that are found there, the advantages that are found there. So it will be easy for you to go into such kind of a thing. Bantu amafa na BP because in Ramazangena. So run to a loan giving company, because you know that this business I'm entering into is something that I know very well. It's something that I'm conversant with. I'm familiar with it. I know the ups and downs of the business. So it will be advisable to get a loan in that way. Unlike going to a bank to get a loan when you know that the business you're entering, it was just a story. Without no idea of any sort that you have ever played into it. But you want us to go into it because you remember the story. Hey, there's money in this business. So don't get a loan because you have heard there's money in that business which you want to enter into. Or at times it sounds very controversial, which you want to say, where people get a loan and build a house. Trust me, building a house is something that is very good, and for me, I like to build a house. I would like to build a house, but the cost of building a house that I would want to stay in, I wouldn't advise somebody to go and get a loan unless it depends with the amount of money that you get.
So how does one build a house? Because let us factor in situation for most of the employees that we have. First and foremost, the salaries. I think it's almost impossible for a lot of people to build a house from their salaries also. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Or if possible, it will really take a very, very long time. So then how should someone build a house? Should continue renting to avoid getting a loan or something like that?
Okay, so it depends with how much maybe you are getting at the end of the month. Let's say you are getting more than 10,000. There it would be reasonable enough for one to actually get a loan and starting to build. If you're just one individual who gets, let's say, 5,000, 6,000, you're getting a loan just to go and build a house that you'll be staying in. Quite okay, yes, you're running away from rentals, but don't forget that that house that you're staying in, at the end of the day, it's still consuming from you, because it will not be an asset for you. It will be a liability to be consuming from you. There will be maintenance issues that will be required to be paid. There will be electricity bills, water bills, so all those, and just a house that one would want to live in. I don't think it'll be a cheap house. It should be something reasonable that even yourself you are pleased with, you admire every day. Trust me, if you get a loan and wanting to build tumi dadada, in Zambia we say tumi dadada, where houses that are attached to each other. If you build those houses and at the end of the month you're collecting something, for me, I would advise somebody to do that, so that that money now that you start making out of those tumi dadadas, you can now start channeling it to your main house that you want to start staying in.
Don't you think it's a gain in some way, where you build a house, okay? You build a house, you get a loan, you build a house. Let's say, for instance, your rentals are 2,000 kwacha a month, right? After you build your house, that 2,000 kwacha that you are supposed to be paying actually for rentals is probably part of what the institution you got a loan from is going to be deducting. Let's say they also deduct probably 2,000, 2,500 kwacha every month. But meanwhile, this time around, you are staying in your house. Don't you think it's somewhat a gain in that way?
Okay, it is again. There are these companies that gets to come to you and they'll tell you they are building you a house. I've seen those ones to be more beneficial in the sense that it's worth it, because just building a house from the scratch, if yourself you are involved in, it's something that I've experienced. It's hectic. It involves a lot of cash than you can think of, because a lot of times people just get to say, I want to get a loan and build a house. They, when you look at and ask their question, maybe ask them questions, do you have land? They get to say, I don't have land. So meaning that loan they are getting, they are definitely going to buy some land out of it. Unless maybe if one had land, they had secured a few things in place before wanting to think of starting to build, so that you do not even actually affect your home, because most of the times a lot of people have affected their homes just in the name of building. They have affected to their children's school fees just to build a house. It's not a bad thing, it is a good thing, but these are things that we really need to plan for very well. And like, you just want to jump into buying or getting loans, or in the name of I want to build a house. So we should literally plan critically for these things before we jump into them.
Now, let's look at one thing that is now trending. I think it's the issue of 20% partial withdrawal.
Oh yeah.
With NAPSA. I think it's something that has been on the lips of almost everyone. And surprisingly, there is one question that I keep getting personally. I've received my car withdraw. What business do you think I should do? For me, it shows that there is a lot of people that are actually on the line at NAPSA trying to get access those funds without really understanding or knowing what they want to do with the said funds.
Oh, yeah.
What is the danger that is associated with that?
So the danger that is associated to that is it leads to a lot of even healthy challenges. We are actually attracting these things like maybe personal made up BPs to yourself. We are not saying those people that are with BP, we're trying to say no, but we're saying those people that are just okay. But because you did not plan for this 20%, you just want to jump into it, minus you knowing what business you first need to enter. When the government actually announced that 20% can be withdrawn from your savings that you have been doing, it doesn't mean that they are not actually said, go and get your money instantly. They're actually just telling you, oh, this is a doorway that is open for you. Plan for it. Think of what you need to do first. Is there something that you have already been doing? Go and multiply what you have now been doing by the same. But where this person calls and say, boy, nina ka 20% kangena pamanje, nzashita bwanje, they already chose there are no plans. Maybe if you involve people that have structures with different plans that have already set up, so involve maybe experts that should come in and advise you on how to go about that 20%, unlike yourself trying to do it, because you know that you do not have anything. But if you involve an expert, say, sir, I have this amount of money and what should I do with this? Financial advisors, they'll be able to advise you. Maybe go and buy shares, maybe go and invest into an already existing business. Or maybe if you have this small land, we can introduce a small business for you so that you start working from there. And then if you see that you are gaining interest in what you are doing and it's producing good results, then the other remaining percentage that was there, because we cannot pump in all the 20% into a new business, that would be foolishness. At the same time, you can pump into it, but the expectation, you have to be two ways about it. You can either lose your 20% or not. So that would be my advice, sir.
Now, I think I'll specifically dwell a little bit on this one because it is something that is actually trending, like I said earlier on, and it's something happening. Is it a must that you should get your 20%?
So, if you ask yourself, you who wants to go and get that 20%, is it a must that you should get that 20%? I, for one, sir, I qualify for that 20%.
Mm-hmm.
But trust me, I have no plans for getting that 20%. It's not in my pipeline because I'm looking at also my age. What is it that I really want to use that 20% for at this moment? Don't I have pressing issues? I do have them. But I think the 20% will be more beneficial in the future than where I am today. I'm still a youth, by the way. So, youths are encouraged to go and get their 20% if they want, but it's not necessary if you do not have certain set goals for that 20%.
I'll give you the narratives that are happening right now. These are the reasonings that are behind people going to withdraw their 20% the NAPSA contributions. Number one, there is a school of thought that seems to believe that you cannot guarantee tomorrow.
Yeah.
You might not be there,
Uh-huh.
and you just leave that money for who? And people are saying for the administrator. So the administrator is going to make budgets for you,
Yeah.
and even will chew the money
Yeah.
in a way that you, even the owner, was not willing to chew it. There is another line of thought that seems to feel, well, it's a time to give some people a financial reset, where probably they're owing some people some money, they're owing the here and there, and they feel if they get that money and probably use that money to pay off whoever they are owing, so that they can have a breath of fresh air and start working for themselves going forward. Because someone told me I have learned my lessons from borrowing, so it's better I pay off and then I restart my life and look into those. There is also a line of thought that says, well, it's now that if I don't get my money right now, probably NAPSA will run out of money. Though I think this one is a myth, and I will dispel it even right here, that I think that one is a myth and should be treated as such.
Yeah.
But anyway, there is a line of thought in those to that effect, to say it's better I get my money before NAPSA runs out of money. Others are saying, well, I'm getting my money because I saw Chitechi get his money.
Yeah.
I saw that one get their money, so I also decided to get my own. So, of all these narratives that I've given, is there any that you feel is legitimate?
Well, you're getting your 20% because you want to sort out a few credits that you got somewhere, and you know that once you borrow money, you actually become a slave to the lender. It's well and good to get your money so that you are off those pressing issues of every day you are thinking of the person that I'm owing, the person that is actually knocking on my doorstep every day. Please give me my monies. I would advise go and get your 20%, sort out those bills, which is very necessary. And just to add on that myth that government will run out of NAPSA will run out of money. NAPSA is bigger than you can imagine. That's government. Government is bigger. So we cannot run out of money. The government, this is Zambia. Zambia can't run out of money. This is the money that you are saving. So where do you think it went to? So be confident and be patient enough that your money is safe and secure. And then having a thought of, I'll not eat the money, that's not a good spirit. That's a selfish spirit, sir. Because one thing you should know is that once we are working, we're not working for ourselves only. We're also working for our future. We're working for our children. We may not be there, yes. It's not a must that we should chew this money. This is why it's a privilege that the nation is actually helping us to save. Which you may not be there when maybe you die. Your children will live to come and benefit from the same. It may take them to college where maybe you did not take them because you're not there. So it is very important. Don't look at it on the negative side. Don't look at it only on your side. Look at it on the people that are out there. Yes, you may be saying in an and says so it doesn't matter. No, you have got nieces, you have got nephews, you have got even other people that are looking up to you. So please, don't be selfish enough to use that money.
I think you're making it worse. Someone will start saying, why should I think of my nephews? They're my children. Why should I think of this one or that one?
Zambia, the way we have been cultured. We are a family people. We are a family people. We are not just entitled to the people that we get to birth biologically. I, for one, I was not raised by my biological parents, but I was raised by my uncle, my auntie. So those are the people that I've regarded as family. I grew up in a mixed family. So where your cousins are no longer your cousins, but they're your brothers and sisters. So so this is what we should live as Zambians, and this is how we have been raised as Zambians. So we should learn to care for each other. Yes, you may not have a biological child, but please be there to support somebody. Exactly.
So I think we are going to conclude this episode of Ubuntu Lifestyle on this issue of NAPSA, because it is really happening, and it's interesting to see actually. Yeah. Now, we also have another line of thought where, some people say, I'm not going to get my money. And I don't need it right now. Let it be. But I'm charging my friends to give. I think someone told me he's charging some of his colleagues to give them financial advice on how to use the money. And he actually even mentioned to me to say, well, there's a number of guys that I've told I'm going to advise they should come to the bar, we drink over it as I'm advising them. And someone will collect your money, and your advisor meets you at the bar. What kind of advice do you get from while drinking?
When you started the point, I, for one, I was actually encouraged, and I felt good because there's somebody who's offering a service to those people that are getting their 20%, just to ensure that he secures their 20% and multiplies their 20% by giving them advice, which is a very good thing. But it's so surprising that it ended to a situation where you're now saying, we are going to a bar. Where that this bar, once we go there, we all get drunk. I don't think it's an advisable way to go to such a place, because all of you will be intoxicated under the influence. You'll be under the influence of alcohol. So the only thing that will be speaking is spending at that particular moment. Or you'll be saying, hey man, pass my bottle so much. You have moved out of that comfort. And that guy, since he's on a mission, because it's a plan, it's a set-up plan that he's taking you to a bar where you can have a good discussion about finances. Definitely he just wants to milk from you. He's found a cash cow. This guy, he can milk from him. So that's not an advice that I can give for somebody to go to such a place. Find a conducive place that that business can take place well without having disturbances. Go in different places. Go and have a nice meal, maybe at one of the hotels or maybe one of the lodges. There, the environment itself, it's cool. You are able to discuss matters that are pertaining to finances, financial matters. People are doing BP. So be careful of who advises you and where they are advising you. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Now here is the thing to our lovely viewers. Ubuntu Lifestyle would also take some interest in bringing to you some of these exclusive advices that you need to use when you get your 20% NAPSA. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to have quite a number of financial advisors that should help us to make sound decisions when we get those partial withdrawals. But for this week's episode of Ubuntu Lifestyle, this is where we're coming to an end. That doesn't mean we're not coming back again next week, same time, same place, and giving you exclusive and content that actually you will be able to relate with because it comes from people just like you. Not anybody fixtures, not anybody up there, but we want someone who will be able to relate with you, the viewers out there. This has been Lawrence Mulungu, standing in also for the production team there, with obviously Mr. Emmanuel controlling the transmission this evening. I'm with my guest, Mr. Prince Mukupa, signing out. Good night, and see you next week, same place, same time.